Hey guys, so for this video, I want to talk about how pro players win in-game build fights. The key word here is in-game, not creative 1v1s or wagers where you have unlimited materials and no fall damage. I'm talking about real matches. Now, I realize pure build fights aren't as common anymore simply because they always turn into box fights. However, learning how to effectively build fight can help you win engagements before they turn into box fights. That's why we're going to look at 4 clips from top tier pros like Bugha, Thwifo, and Unknown Army, and then analyze everything they did right to win the build fight. So without further ado, let's get into the video. In the first clip, we see Bugha trying to push an enemy 4 or 5 stories above him in a 1x1. He does a decent job of moving forward while staying protected, and then breaks out a high ground retake. His opponent somehow remains on height though, even as Bugha gets a cheeky shot off on him. Finally, Bugha manages to take height, jukes his opponent out, and secures the kill while the guy tries to pop a mini. Right away, the first thing Bugha did well was pulling out that sweet high ground retake. If you couldn't really tell what he did or why it would work, it was a stretch wall, aka you build 3 walls up and then edit through the highest wall to try and catch the other person with a cone. Yes, I realize it didn't work out that way for Bugha, but the takeaway is understanding when you want to whip out those retakes you're practicing. In this case, it was when Bugha was protected enough under his opponent, but high enough up where he felt he could steal high ground in the fight. The next thing Bugha did well was go for this beautiful jump shot that had his opponent completely lost. Bugha built the cone and floor and then motioned as if he was gonna go and edit through it. However, to throw the other guy off, he popped out from below and went for a jump shot to the side. From his opponent's perspective, the guy was tracking Bugha and waiting for him to edit the cone and floor, but instead, he gets cracked with a shotgun shot from the opposite direction. The final thing Bugha does well is actually editing through the next cone and floor he extends out. This is part of why Bugha is so insanely hard to keep track of in build fights. He knew his opponent would be waiting for him to go for another jump shot like he did before. So by making the edit this time and not going for the jump shot, his opponent loses the guessing game and falls down on the bottom half of the ramp. Altogether, this clip is an amazing example of all things top tier builders do to win in-game build fights. Whether it's a flashy retake or a simple fake out, you should be able to see why Bugha is always coming out on top. The next clip is an in-game build fight from Unknown Army. We see him pressuring an opponent and desperately trying to get a cone off on him. His opponent does manage to slip away, so Unknown goes straight into retake mode. He does a different variation of the Bugha retake we just looked at, which ends up with him editing through the wall rather than editing a window and going for the cone. Regardless, Unknown catches the guy with a different cone and gets the kill. Now, as you guys can probably guess, the first thing Unknown did well was the retake. He knew exactly when to pull it out and how to use it to stay both protected and gain back height. By the way, this is a retake I showed a couple months ago from Epic Whale. The thing is, I care more about what Unknown did at the end of the retake. He edits the wall he built and places a cone on the ground, then places a wall. But why on earth would he place a cone there? Most people, including me, would instinctively place a wall, not a cone, if an enemy was that close. Did he just randomly place that? The answer is no. Unknown did that, so if his opponent tried to ramp up and out, they couldn't. And this is how Unknown often uses cones, basically as a way to prevent people from ramping for protection or getting away from him. Back to the play, and right after, he then uses a cone in another way. This time, it's to block off the top of the box and trap his opponent in. So in the beginning, we saw Unknown use a cone for cover. Then he used it to prevent his opponent from placing a ramp, and now he uses it to lock his opponent down and secure the kill. The The last quick thing I wanted to make a note of was how quick that wall comes out after the cone. Building that wall immediately after coning gives your opponent no time to get a shot off, process what's happening, or really even see you. All in all, I don't want you guys to practice this exact move and sequence, but what I want you to take away are the many ways to use a cone, both defensive and offensive, in a build fight. Moving on, our third example features FaZe Martoz. Martos is building up for height when he gets ramped over, but makes a nice recovery to steal back high ground. From there, he starts to put on the pressure and look for any and every shot he can. He's constantly looking for angles and plays to make. However, the fight does turn into a box fight as his opponent sits in a 1v1. But the main reason Martos wins it and has the confidence to play aggressive is because he won the build fight just before it. Straight away, Martos does a great job by walling off his opponent who ramped over him. Most people in this situation would try to cone them off, but that makes it really easy for you to get edited on. A wall, on the other hand, completely stops them in their tracks and gives them no opportunity to do damage. Also, if you're wondering how to counter that, you'd have to place a wall beforehand and edit through it. Back to Martos, and as soon as he gets that wall off, he jumps up, turns around, and whips out this really ingenious cone move as he goes up for a 180. I've really only seen Martos use this, but it's actually insanely smart. Basically, what you do is turn around like you would for a normal 180 and place 3 cones as you turn, then do your normal 180. This obviously blocks your opponent off so they can't get high ground themselves, and if we go back to the original clip, it does exactly that, and Martos' opponent gets stuck under the far cone. The last thing I wanted to touch upon was this little move by Martos where he ramps over the guy and then jumps out to the side. This is the same principle we saw with Bugha, where his opponent expects him to make the edit. Martos knows that, so he goes for the unexpected play, which is to jump out to the side and go for a shot. All things considered, I really think this is an amazing fight to learn from. Martos taught us a few new tricks and helped reinforce basic ones that we sometimes forget to use when we're in the middle of a build fight. Plus, this is the first example where the player gets high ground early and pushes his advantage to secure the kill. So even though it doesn't end as a build fight, the engagement was won solely because of it. The fourth and final clip is a much shorter one from Ghost Thwifo. He starts to build up across from his opponent and protects himself pretty nicely considering the angle he's at. He then tries to get a ramp over the other guy, goes up another level, and then wins the fight with a fat pump shot to the face. The first thing I want to focus on is how well Thwifo stays hidden at the start of the fight. This is a really awkward angle to fight because his opponent is across from him and not building straight at him like most other build fights. Still, no matter how high up his opponent goes, he never has an angle to get a shot off on Thwifo. Next thing Thwifo does well is choose to build up another level after he gets the ramp off here. He could have easily committed to the fight and went for the 50-50, but he knew the much safer option was to go straight up and over. The final thing Thwifo does well is understand when to fight and using cover from the ramp to stutter step his opponent. I know this example is far from the longest or most advanced. The takeaway though is to start learning when the right time to commit to a fight is, no matter where or how you're build fighting. If you're someone who's always fighting and committing to fights early on, then obviously you're making a mistake and you need to go back and look when the right time is to go in and when it's not to. Overall boys, that is how to build fight like a pro. Please be aware, the point of this video is not for you to go out and practice those exact moves. Obviously, you should practice some of them, but I don't want you guys to try to do Bugha's exact retake into the fake jump shot every time. What I want you guys to do is to learn and take things away from each of the examples so you can use those core principles and intuitions I talked about in build fights of your own. Most of you know that, but my clown boy cousin did not, so I thought I should make it clear in the video. Anyways, if you guys learned something new or found the video helpful, then do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code Jerian. You guys are my homies, and I seriously love you all. Remember though, my code is Jerian, not it's Jerian. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.